This is Kusadasi, not Kusadasi, and it was an absolutely gorgeous day as we waited for our trip for Ephesus. As we were taking photographs on deck 9, somebody offered to take ours, and it's not something we normally do, but she seemed very pleased to do it. We didn't want to upset her. This is not a bad one. And across the harbour from us was Celestial's Discovery. Perhaps there was a special offer on the Discovery name when they were working on these ships. The House of Mary is reputed to be where she came to live after Christ's death on the cross, accompanied by St John the Divine. And as we drove up the hill to it, we could see across the valley where the original sites of Ephesus were. You can see a little bit better there, but the original site of Ephesus was on the far side of the valley, and this steepness, you will see later in the video just how steep parts of Ephesus are. And then as we rounded a corner, we came to this statue of the Virgin Mary, and it's quite remarkable that the Turks, as Muslims, aren't bothered by it.
Okay, what you're seeing here, ladies and gentlemen, is a big hole. A rather unusual hole. A little bigger than what you would normally see. So, a big hole. Questions? Ladies and gentlemen, now some people say it was for baptism, which is not. Okay, baptism is at the Church of John, but this is probably a cistern. Okay, used for daily life, for daily use. Yeah. So freshwater cistern. Okay, good. Let's continue.
The shrine, which is basically the House of Mary, is extremely small, and it's one way. This is the first sight of it, right in the centre behind that tree. And here we are getting a little closer. That is the entrance door. You can only go in one way around. You can't photograph inside, which is a shame. It's very, very beautiful inside. Very small, very tight. And that's basically all it is, a little L-shaped building. Entrance one side, and then the exit, as you can see here, on the right hand side. The exit is down a flight of stairs and along the lower level. You first come past the holy water spring in that archway, and then there are these frames onto which people put pieces of fabric and other mementos with prayers to the Virgin. This was our first sight of Ephesus. The entrance with the ticket booth on the left hand side, and given that it was no less than €40 each to get in, we were quite glad it was already paid for, and it's some justification for the amount that it cost us for the excursion. Not everything is overcharged, I think. We had to wait to go through the ticket barrier one at a time, and then once we got through, we were waiting for everybody else to come in. As you can see, people carrying umbrellas, but Ephesus was a magnificent sight even at the very beginning.
All right, so now can everyone see? Good. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned before, Ephesus, in comparison to the other sites around the world, doesn't matter if it's Italy, Greece, Spain, whatever you are, okay, it's a completely different story than any other site in the world. First of all, this is not a monument that you're visiting, like let's say the Parthenon in Athens or let's say in Rome, whatever. This is an entire town that we're dealing with endless history, starting in the time period of the Hittites and then going all the way to the 1500s. So in other words, late Byzantine. Therefore, many civilizations, many different layers, many civilizations that have come and gone. Okay, so what we're going to be dealing today is, as you can see now, this is the whole of Ephesus. You can see the city wall starting at number 32 right here and going all the way around to that stadium, and 33 right here, and track 33 is following the entire city. Okay, the city walls you have just seen right there passing by with the bus. So imagine these were the city walls that you have seen going to the house of Mary. Okay, now so far Ephesus, found by an Englishman called John Turtle Wood, ladies and gentlemen, from 1860s, around 1860s until present, where the excavations are being continuing with Archaeological Institute in Ankara, Turkey, as well as in a teamwork with the Austrian Archaeological Institute, Miss Dr. Sabine Ladstetter, from past until present. In other words, from 1800s to present, what you're able to see is only 1/16 of Ephesus. Okay, only 1/16. So what you're seeing here, in fact, what I'm trying to say is, these hills here, or maybe that walkway across, still needs to be excavated, which I will point it out as we walk by. Okay, so therefore today we will be doing our tour starting with number 6, which is right here, the Agora. Okay, with number 6, and then go across number 6. There is a Bruterium or Odeum, which is not a theater. Okay, so we'll be walking down number 11, number 13, number 12, number 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and we will end the tour at number 21. Okay, so in other words, at the big theater. That's why I said we were doing one-way walk, thanks God, without coming back. Okay, so therefore, no panic in case you may want to take pictures and have the feeling you got lost. There is no way of you getting lost. Okay, you can try your best. Okay, so it's only one way. Okay, all right. So number 21 is the big theater where we will end with the tour. Now, speaking about Ephesus, let us start with a little map right here, which is across. Ladies and gentlemen, just a question: has any one of you have heard the name of Abraham Sanya? Coincidentally, it could be possible. No. Okay. This gentleman who is a geoarchaeologist, I happened to meet a couple of years ago as I attended a archaeological seminar at the university in Izmir. Swiss gentleman who is a geoarchaeologist searching after the settlements in central Anatolia. Now, after the seminar, I went up to him, since I guide in German as well, and because the seminar was in English. Okay, so after the seminar, I went up to him speaking in German, like I said, since he was from Switzerland. We had a nice talk going into, like I said, to depth of the Hittites and the Lubies, where this young man came up with this story how these cities actually have been developed on the coast of Turkey. I mean, multiple, let's say, Greek cities to it, but where did it start and how did it end? The end we know, but how did it start? It started with sea migrations. Now, what happened is, I don't know if you ever heard about the Hittites. Well, in the Old Testament, you probably have read about the Hittites, but furthermore than the Hittites, there are the Lubies. L-U-W-I-E-S, Lubies, okay? Also from central Anatolia. So, who have also, by the way, taken part in the Trojan War with the king of Troy called Priamos, okay? Anyhow, so he's claiming that civilizations, many tribes, okay, went to the Greek islands, settled down. However, after a long time period, because these are all volcanic hills, okay, volcanic islands, people that haven't found what they were expected to survive, in other words, water, agricultural lands, underground resources, and everything, so they settled back, according to Eberhard Sanger, which we call sea migrations. In other words, if you would type in on Saint Google, okay, you say sea migration or sea tribes, you would get the sentence which I've just said now, okay? So people actually gathering here in the 11th century and settling on the coast of Turkey, building cities such as, let's say, Milet, such as Smyrna, such as Ephesus, and, okay? So, now, the earliest settlement of Ephesus, where it was located, and we have here an ancient map. By the way, this map belongs to Eberhard Sanger as well, okay? Now, here we can see the Bay of Ephesus, okay? Remember I said in the vehicle this morning, the bay played a very important role as first. Then came the Artemis Temple. Okay, so here we see, okay, the big bay. So we are right here. Okay, we're right here. So today, this whole area is silted. So what you've seen here, remember I said in the horizon you can see the eucalyptus trees, okay, but no koala bears. Okay, eucalyptus trees right here. Okay, so this is where the beach is today. So today, all this area is what sandy ground, or let's say land, being silted by the Kaistras River. Okay, so sedimentation. Okay, happened through here. Now, additional to that, remember I said there are 4 Ephesus. Where do we see the 4 Ephesus? First of all, look, this is where that fort is. First, look, it says Ephesus Archaic or Classical period. So first Ephesus, then what you see here in red, the Artemis Temple would be the second Ephesus. Then through a goat path, okay, here, leading this red road to here, this would be the second Ephesus. Third Ephesus, Roman Ephesus. After the destruction of here, earthquake, natural causes, a handful, maybe 100, maybe 150 people, I don't know, okay? I didn't live in those days, okay? But there a handful of people going back to here again, where they built the St. John's Basilica. Well, that's where the St. John Basilica is today, which we'll visit after lunch, okay? So this is, like I said, Ephesus. Now let us go to this map. Oh, sorry, not map, here. Look. Now, the story, the reality of finding Ephesus, you already know. Sea migrations. Well, let's put a little flavor to it, okay, and talk about a little mythology, okay. So whichever you like best, you can take it, okay. So the mythology says, Rhodos, his son, who was the Rasputin of Athens, by the way, Andropos, happens to go to the Oracle of Delphi and ask you for a new settlement where you should start a new civilization. That's the way it was, okay? You go to a temple of God knows what God, okay, and you ask questions, and then the priest inside would tell you where to start and which way to go. That's the way it was, okay? So Therefore, as he happens to go to the Oracle of Delphi, and the Oracle of Delphi will tell him in a funny sentence, kind of awkward, it says, whenever you'll be able to see the fish, the fire, and the boar will lead you to the place to start a new civilization, a new settlement. Fine. It sounds kind of funny. I mean, fish is in the water, then you're talking about the fire, and then on top of that, a boar. Well, that's a difficult thing to find. So presumably this young man happens to sail through the Greek Isles, getting here somewhere on land. Presumably that one island that I showed you across the road, okay, because not this Ephesus yet, we're not here yet, okay? So he happens, since there was no agriculture, he happens to catch the fish of the water, because he has to survive somewhere. Catching the fish of the water, and then naturally making a little campfire, trying to grill his fish. There you got the fire. But clumsy as one can be, the fish kind of wiggling and falling on fire. The hot fire happens to expand. What a coincidence. There was a boar hidden in the bush. Here you go, okay, right here. So him chasing after the boar reminds himself from the statement the same one once told by the Oracle of Delphi, the fish, the fire, and the boar. So Kronos, his son Andropos, as the newcomer, the first one to settle here in Ephesus, whereas there was a settlement here in the time period of the Hittites, okay, already. That's why this area is called Ephesus. The original way of Ephesus is called Ephesus, in the Luvi language spoken by the Hittites. Okay, so here's the earliest one that could come to settle down. And then, we don't know, but for the longest time with the Lydians, I'm trying to make it short now, the Lydians occupied Ephesus for the longest time, and King Croesus, I don't know if you ever heard the sentence such as, rich as Croesus. Okay, maybe, thank you. Some of you have heard. So financed the Artemis Temple being built, so it was being conquered by the Lydians for the longest time. It was the upgoing graphic. Until, ladies and gentlemen, the Lydians are being defeated by the Persians in the 490s, that was 5th century. For the longest time, 3-4 generations, until 21st of June, 356 at midnight, 12 o'clock, once Alexander the Great was born in Pella. Okay? So with a campaign of 30 years of age, 40,000 men crossing the Straits of Hellespont, which is today Chanakya by Troy, the first defeat against Darius. He follows Darius all the way to Gaugamela. Persians are off the map. All these city-states along the coast of Turkey today, okay, are being freed from the Persians. So after the death of Alexander the Great, now we're coming to this Ephesus. The map has been divided among its 4 diadoques. The diadoques are the generals on the side of Alexander the Great. One of them was, let's say, Ptolemy. The other one was Lysimachus. So Lysimachus, who was a Macedonian, okay, takes over this entire area, and he carries the town from across from here to where we are now. Okay, by this is very clever, by blocking this sewage system, where people are forced to leave the town and come to a much wider place rather than that little hill, which you will see in the afternoon. So Lysimachus is the starter of this Ephesus, which is basically Roman, not Greek, Roman town, following, you name it, all kind of Roman emperors happen to come and go. Look, so we shall start with our walking tour. Yes, probably so. Okay, now ladies and gentlemen, our tour starts with a very typical Roman bath. By the way, I forgot to mention, outside of this gate where we just came in, a little, let's say 50 meters, a little more on the right-hand side of the road, going down, okay, where the bus just passed, there was a gate called the Magnesia Gate, with 2 towers on each side, an entry into the Agora. The reason I'm telling you the Magnesia Gate, because Paul, once he came here, 54 to 57, as he lived here in Ephesus, he came from that direction. He came through the Magnesia Gate, exactly the same route that you're walking now. Okay, so downhill, okay, is also the same route as Paul once actually walked. Now, ladies and gentlemen, behind me you're seeing a Roman bath. Now, some establishments in the Roman time period were more important than others for socializing, gathering together. So this is where the Romans actually have been washed and cleaned, okay? Naturally with slaves, with on different sections such as Tepidarium, Frigidarium, Palestra, Alepterion, so you name it, they've been cleaned and washed. Whereas, of course, later period, when it came to Christianity being more effective here in Ephesus, it has been changed into a basilica, okay? One of the, like I said, early Christian churches here would be what you see here as a Roman bath, which actually, you can see it starts right away, it's huge, okay? In fact, some of the excavations must be carried on all the way to the bushes, so it goes all the way back to the hill, so fairly big Roman bath, okay? Which was one of the most important, I may say, establishments in Roman time period. I don't know if you've heard or seen, it could be coincidentally, the Bath of Caracalla. Okay, it's an awesome building. Okay, so write it somewhere, take a note, and if you're traveling around what European countries, especially Italy, make sure you visit. If you're really interested to see a Roman bath, the Bath of Caracalla. Okay, good. So, by the way, do you have any idea what these guys were washed with or cleaned? Cleaned would be a better word.
Olive oil.
No soap.
Olive oil?
Olive oil.
Olive oil. They may have used olive oil, but not quite. I said cleaning, washing. I mean, they've used olive oil. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But put it this way, ladies and gentlemen, at the Caldarium section, once they would sweat, they used sand to rub the skin. They would sweat, and the slaves, handfuls of very soft sand, the sand that we walk on the beach barefoot, okay, which is like a massage for your feet. Okay, so they would rub it, okay, and then with the iron comb, awkward like an S, the letter of S, okay, they would scrape the sand as well as the sweat, okay? So nothing has changed from past to present. We call it exfoliation, okay, or spa. The only difference is today you pay money for it, okay? Good, let's continue.
Strigula. I love we brought some water. Goodness me.
As a very important issue, even though it may seem very simple to the eye. I mean, a few pipes, so what? Big deal. But these pipes have played a very important role in humans' life, such as A, sewage system, B, water system, C, heating. Okay? So where they transferred steam from the Roman bath into the individual houses to warm up. Steam, which is called, in the terminology, it's called hypocaust system. Okay? Hypocaust is the steam. Why would they want to use steam? Very simple. Steam does not have gravity. That's why. Okay? That's why I keep saying, I mean, if you walk through here, it's fascinating. I mean, how these Romans actually invented things. I mean, if somebody would come up to me, or among us, let's say, if I would be the engineer for heating, I would say, go ahead and use hot water from a Roman bath, so what? But then water would be, let's say, flood or anything that it can cause an accident any time. So they used, like I said, steam, which does not have any gravity, because the heating, here, you continue. Never mind. Because, no, wait, hold it. Because the heating, ladies and gentlemen, if this is like the wall of the house, okay, like this, and this is the other the wall of the house, so you have concrete right here, okay. So they put this the pipes, okay, straight up, so into the concrete, okay. So as you can see, look, one is male, the other one is female, okay. So therefore, that was a perfect way, thank you, perfect way of heating, okay? So let's continue.
So having learned about Roman plumbing and heating services, we carried on this walkway through the upper part of town, obviously a very prosperous part of town, as you can see from all the columns that were around. And we're moving towards this theatre. This is not a theatre for dramatics or games, although it is, you might say, for performances. This was the Forum, where something like 1,200 Ephesian politicians would come and debate, shall we say, all the laws for the city.
This is a very important section on behalf of, or important part, okay, on behalf of Ephesus. We are, or not you, we are walking on the Stoa, S-T-O-A. Stoa is a sacred road which was covered with wooden roof, decorated with bullhead capitals right over here, okay? This road was leading into the Boule, or Luterion, as it's written right over there. In English, the second paragraph, Luterion. What is the Luterion? Luterion has nothing to do with the theater, okay? Boule, in Old Greek, translated to English today, means the chosen ones, the elected ones, which means it is the town hall or the parliament. Now, going back 2,500 years, my God, whatever, 2,000 years, okay, using your imagination, this is where all these Romans wear their toga and screamed at each other, God knows whatever, talking about politics, okay? And the reason they had bullhead capitals is, if you notice, if you go back into, let's say, Egyptian history, you'll notice one thing. Bull was always a sacred animal due to its strength, okay, representing politics. That's why it decorated, but only here on this road, nowhere else, only on here. Okay, they had bullhead capitals. Okay, so 1,200 Romans, okay, politicians met here to make decisions upon Ephesus.
We were then given a few minutes to go up into the Forum and have a closer look at it. We were warned several times to take care of our foot in different parts of the site, but as you can see here, the steps are quite worn and uneven, so you certainly need to watch your step at every stage. It's amazing just how much of it is still intact, even to no great height. But there it is, and I find it slightly difficult to imagine the Forum members standing and debating and no doubt ranting and raving. It's quite a height. We didn't go any further than this. It wasn't really saying, we didn't really have the time either. I'm not sure I would want to sit on the cold stone. I presume that back in the day your slave would have brought cushions for your precious bottom. And then we moved on to a viewing platform slightly higher than the road, which you can see down in the sort of right leading to the centre, and that gave us our first view of the library. And there it is, zoomed in a bit further. I can only liken it to the treasury at Petra, which both seem to burst out at you out of nowhere.
She is the one who has, is the one and only goddess of this soil that also this country is named after. Anatolu, okay? Goddess of Artemis. Good. Let's continue. Please watch this.
the guide led us down this sloping section of road down into another part of the town where the library is, and warned us again about the state of the path. You've got 2,000 years of use on the marble, which has polished it, and it's dusty as well, so it can be quite treacherous. And one or two people did get caught out. Most just slipped a little bit and managed to recover. One or two others went down with a bit of a thump, but luckily no harm was done.
The goddess of Hermes. Wherever you go, what museum you are, what country you visit on behalf of archaeology, let's say a goddess that has wings on the Achilles tendons is Hermes, the goddess of message. What does a god of message has to do here on this pillar? Because God of message here, Hermes, is related to Paul, which is written in the Bible. Okay? It says Hermes, the god that brings you message once Paul comes through here during his second and third missionary journey, spreading Christianity. So they equalize Paul with Hermes, who brings the news. Okay? Good. Let's continue.
This should give you an even better idea of the state of this footpath. It's really quite uneven, and there are steps as well. Some of the statuary, yes, it's been put back together again, but even so, it's really impressive, and you just get this feeling that people are going to turn up in togas.
One and only one Roman emperor of Spanish origin, okay? So therefore, the success in the multiple battles that they had in the province of Asia, okay, has led him to the top of the line, being a Roman emperor. But yet, like I said before, he was a Spanish origin, okay, general or high-ranked soldiers, okay? Now, through the several victories, okay, they have dedicated this nymphaeum on behalf of Trojan. And this part right here, the marble here, is a part of it. Now, remember I said temple guardian, and we say neoporos in Old Greek. The letter here is missing. Look, N is missing here. Neoporos here. And then here, look here, it says Ephesus, right here. Okay, the Neoporos of Ephesus, which means temple guardian. In other words, of today's English, the emperor was seen as a god. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, Neoporos, that's what it is. Okay, so then it continues here somewhere. Look, there you go. Traiano, okay, Kaiseria, from the word of Kaiser, German Kaiser. Because the Germans have copied it from the Romans. Okay, even that sign when Hitler goes, you know, Heil Hitler, that is taken from Ave Roma. Ave Roma, that's what it is. He copied it from there. Okay, so that's why. Okay, it is related to the Roman history. Good, let's continue.
As I said earlier, some of these structures have been rebuilt from their component parts as best they can, but they're not overdone. It's not like Knossos, everything's painted up and looks quite artificial in places. This is as is. And another item, as is, are these Roman toilets. No such thing as modesty for them. The little channel you see in front is where they wash the bottom wiping sponges or leaves on sticks, and underneath the seats is another channel with running water that would have carried all the waste away to some disposal point. And so we came down, close to the library, and we could see it in all its faded glory for the first time. You can really see how it would have dominated the square. I would have loved to have seen it in its heyday. And here our guide is telling us all about the library, the third biggest in the world if I remember correctly, and that there was an enormous commercial area through those arches, and centre of the area really. So just behind that there were 3 private houses, and here are the details of those, quite how you work out what any of them were for, never mind why one was thought to be a brothel and now isn't. I don't know. I'm an engineer, not an archaeologist or historian, so looking at the jumbles of stones you can see a pattern of probably buildings, but that's about as far as I can go myself. And here we are walking along this very long flat road, thank goodness for a change. And again, it would have been quite formal with the columns and presumably a roof over the top, although he didn't say so. This is that commercial area I mentioned, and there's the library over in the centre now. Excuse my finger over the lens, it was difficult to see in the bright sunshine onto the screen, and I got it wrong. He'd been telling us not to look back until he told us, and we rounded a corner and went down about 100 yards, as you can see, then turned round, and there we saw the glory that was the actual theatre. And that was the end of the visit. We found some toilets, which we were very grateful for, got back on the bus, and as we drove away, there was a piece of the wall still standing in a field to quite a good height with an arch in it. We saw quite a lot of storks all around the area. Please excuse this pretty bad photograph taken across the bus. But you can see here some of them nest on bits of old building, and in others they're nesting on platforms actually for the job. Lunch was at a local restaurant, which obviously did for most of the tour groups. There were a lot of buses there. A very pleasant buffet style lunch, but then we had some extra entertainment.
Thank you very much.
I think you're in his way, Ruth. Wants to go inside. We saw more storks on the way to our next stop, the Basilica of St John, the divine author of Revelations in the Bible. This one, as you can see, has been built on top of a column, and if you look very, very carefully, you can see between the chick on the right and the parent bird on the left, you can just see some more wings of a second chick.
Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the program continues. As coming up next is on the right-hand side, the St. John's Basilica. Just like in Ephesus, we'll make one straight line. Like I said, we'll give you access to go in. And then after we went in, like I said, I'll give you brief information about the church. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we will meet by the, where it says Al-Ida, right here by the ice cream, what do you call, umbrella. Okay, the sun.
At the entrance to the Basilica complex, we had to go through the farce of going through the ticket barriers one at a time with the e-tickets on his phone, and it didn't work very well again. But complex is definitely the right word to use. As you can see here, it covers a huge area with lots of buildings inside its surrounding walls. He took us across to a site on the edge and showed us how there are different thicknesses and different styles of wall, demonstrating that this site was occupied for a very long time and was rebuilt at least 3 times. You can see it here just as well, and you can see how much it dominates the valley. Looking back towards the sea from that spot, it's very, very hard to imagine that you're actually looking at the old harbour, because Ephesus was a harbour town in its pomp, and the sea used to come to where the green is. This was a map of the area, which I must admit I found extremely difficult to understand. I hope you can make more of it than I ever could. This is the entrance into the Basilica area itself that we used. There were columns on both sides, and both had this very early Christian symbol carved into them. And this is the supposed site of the tomb of St John, and quite clearly it's been restored to some sort of respectable condition. But irrespective of what it is, it must have been an absolutely huge building, as you'll see in a moment from a model. As I said earlier, I'm an engineer, not an archaeologist, so it can be very difficult to picture what you're looking at, but it's colossal. However good or bad you are at visualising things. Obviously the castle is much, much later and has got nothing whatever to do with the complex, but like all castles, it dominates the site. Now this is the model of the basilica as they think it was in its heyday. My word, it's quite something, isn't it? All these rooms, pillars, domes, goodness me, it's absolutely mind-boggling. It's got to be said, and you'd never get a feel for that, for what it was, without models like this. And this is its explanation. Please feel free to pause the video and have a read. The Temple of Diana or Artemis must have been an absolutely enormous structure. You can see some pillar bases on the far side, and here is some information on some of the archaeological digs which have been done on the site. So, that was Ephesus. I'm sorry it's such a long video, but there was a lot of it and the guide was really interesting. After we left the Temple of Diana, we drove basically all the way back to the ship. It was quite a long way, and from when they dropped us off near the port entrance, we walked through a plethora of carpet shops. Now we're all trying to flog us very expensive carpets which we didn't want in the first place. So that was Ephesus and Kusadasi, somewhere that is well worth a visit, really is. I haven't made any notes about what we did that evening. Undoubtedly we would have eaten in Ireland and gone to see the entertainment, but to be fair, the entertainment on the second week was not that good, so never mind.